Hello everyone, this is part 17 of What If Naruto and Hinata trained together and a spark happened, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. And you are absolutely certain this? The gruff, older voice asked. Yes, the younger voice was smooth, but exhibited a touch of strain. Now that the 8 tails is sealed along with the 5 tails, their next target will be the 9 tails. The 6 tails Jinchuriki has proven highly elusive, and the 7 tails can be harvested whenever they feel the need. The Akatsuki will move to capture Naruto Uzumaki, and soon. Jiraiya shook his head in dismay. Itachi Uchiha watched his contact, waiting for the older man to speak. I guess we knew this time would come, the Toad Sage admitted. Maybe it's time to extract you. No, Itachi protested vehemently. Then he took control of his reaction and continued, if I leave now, Pain and Madara will change their plans. They would probably take the 7 tails first, and then go after Naruto with much greater force. The Sannin surveyed the younger ninja, not fooled. Do you really think you are close to being able to find and defeat Madara? Jiraiya asked gently. That is not the only reason I have to remain undercover. Itachi was conflicted, but I think Sasuke is almost to the point where together, he and I could destroy our ancestor. How can I resist such a perfect opening? A third voice declared. A shadow landed in between them, kicking Jiraiya away, and then launching a sphere of fire at Itachi. The 2 older ninja jumped away from their attacker, landing shoulder to shoulder, facing Sasuke Uchiha. I never would have guessed my old friend was Itachi's contact, the rogue genin hissed, but I suppose that explains your frequent absences from the village. Sasuke. The older brother was surprised by the younger's sudden appearance. He unconsciously took a step towards the younger man. But Jiraiya blocked his path, moving between the brothers, while regarding Sasuke with a furious expression. That's not Sasuke, the legendary pervert told Akatsuki agent, it's Orochimaru. Actually, you were both right, the serpent switched to his own voice, while keeping Sasuke's appearance, but what gave me away? Everything, how you move, your poor impersonation of Sasuke, calling me, old friend, the Toad Sage answered. I thought Sasuke killed Orochimaru, Itachi protested, moving to surround the renegade Sannin and reaching for his sword. Killed, is such a tricky word, Orochimaru answered smugly. You see, when I attempted to take control of this body the first time, Sasuke was able to use his Mangekyo Sharingan to reverse the process. He absorbed me instead. I was the source of his regenerative powers, when he attacked Itachi all those months ago. He grinned viciously, and continued, but little Sasuke miscalculated. He thought that by trapping me, I would be harmless, and he would be able to borrow all of my skills. You were kind enough to instruct him on the error of his ways, weren't you, Itachi? The elder Uchiha brother did not answer. He tensed to attack, but Jiraiya signaled they should wait. Then how were you able to take control of Sasuke's body? Jiraiya asked, knowing Orochimaru loved to boast. Take is not the right word in this case. Sasuke Uchiha had not been aware of the passage of time until he wandered into the bandits' camp. They had attacked him, of course, and his body reacted on instinct. Before the broken traitor had realized what was happening, he had brutally slain 5 of the thieves, and the rest were fleeing in terror. Roused from his depression, he examined the sky. By the placement of the stars, he could tell that it had been 7 or 8 days since he had lost to Itachi, since Karen had died. He noticed an empty feeling in his stomach. Though he had no desire to live, he did not want to die either, and the hunger was an annoyance. So he scrounged around the base, consuming the few scraps of dried meat and bread he found. Is this what you have been reduced to? A voice whispered to him, once the mighty Avenger, willing to give up everything, now just an empty existence, unable to live but unwilling to die. Sasuke considered the voice, wondering if this was part of himself, a scrap of fire still burning in his soul. But then he knew, and the insight spurred the energy he had been lacking. Orochimaru, Sasuke growled, what concern is it of yours? You sealed me, the serpent's voice grew stronger, if you die, I die with you. One might almost say that makes you my Jinchuriki. You can stop being jealous of Uzumaki. The body thief laughed at that. The teen was less than amused. What do you want? Sasuke demanded of his former teacher. He closed his left eye, and the red and black orb appeared on the top of his former teacher's cage. The formerly blank, white walls were now marked in a reddish-brown substance. The kanji and kana formed the basis for a set of dark, powerful new techniques. I have a proposition for you, Orochimaru answered, in an even tone that was eerily at odds with his normal inflection, that is, if you still want your brother dead. I'm listening, the Sharingan user said carefully. Reverse our positions, the Sannin explained, give me your body. In return I will kill Itachi Uchiha for you. Ha! Sasuke barked a laugh, why would I accept that offer, when you lost to him before? You have been defeated 3 times, the serpent countered, so you are hardly in a position to be using that as a basis for judgment. The host did not respond, so the parasite considered his point accepted, and continued. There would be 3 important differences this time, Orochimaru explained. The first is that this time I will be trying to kill Itachi. When we last fought, I was attempting to take his body. Which meant I could not do him serious injury. It is much harder to capture someone unharmed than to simply kill them. I thought Naruto made that abundantly clear during your battle 4 years ago. Sasuke grimaced at the reminder, but he bit back his retort, and instead said, continue. Secondly, last time I fought Itachi I was in a weak host, and on the verge of collapse. This time, my host will be young, strong, and fresh. Which leads directly into my third point. Like you, Itachi was able to escape my control with his Sharingan. But this time, I too will have that power. You talk a good game, Sasuke finally admitted, but somehow, I can't quite bring myself to just trust you. If I were to agree to this, I would need certain assurances. Such as a blood oath, Sasuke answered icily, that you will kill Itachi within 3 months, or return control of my body to me. I am not exactly in any state to be making a blood oath at this time, the imprisoned soul countered mockingly. You know as well as I do, that blood is only the medium to mark the mind and soul. Sasuke channeled his ire into a condescending lecture. I'm sure whatever you have been using to mark the spirit prison will work just as well, if not better. Perhaps, the Sannin said neutrally, but if I were to make such an oath, I could not agree to 3 months. It will take me time to adjust to my new form, and longer to make it meet my physical requirements. Say, 1 year. 6 months. It will be difficult, Orochimaru pretended to debate the matter, but not impossible. And, of course, in the interest of fairness, I would require an oath from you as well. When have you ever been concerned about fairness? Sasuke snorted. I am always careful to make sure I am treated fairly, the body thief said, leaving hang the implication that the reverse did not necessarily apply. And what would you have me swear? The teen asked, hiding his anticipation as they approached a deal. Just that your body belongs to me for as long as I keep my oath, and that you won't try to help your former friends, should I cross swords with them. What friends? The rogue genin shrugged derisively. Your former teammates then, the Sannin suggested, do we have an arrangement? You first, Sasuke insisted. Orochimaru smirked up at the teen's eye, and then shrugged. He bit into his right middle finger, and traced the symbol onto his chest over his heart. I, Orochimaru, swear that after taking possession of Sasuke Uchiha's body, I will kill his older brother, Itachi Uchiha within 6 months. If I fail to complete this task within the allotted time, Sasuke Uchiha will regain control of his body, and I will be unable to regain control of his body, and will die should I attempt it. The spiritual blood faded into the leaf traitor's chest, and he looked up at Sasuke's eye. Are you satisfied? He asked the younger man. Uchiha did not answer, but his eye vanished from the cell as he opened it in the real world. It appears fate has given me one last chance, brother, he exhaled with a murderous grin. He took out a kunai, and brutally sliced off the tip of his right thumb. Sasuke tore open his shirt, and quickly smeared the kanji for honor over his heart. I, Sasuke Uchiha, swear to relinquish control of my body to Orochimaru so long as he completes his oath to kill my brother Itachi. I further swear that I will not attempt to oppose Orochimaru should he ever battle my former teammates. Name them, Orochimaru insisted. Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Kakashi Hatake. Should I break this oath, my soul will fade to the afterlife, leaving Orochimaru with total control of my body. Very good, the serpent summoner congratulated his former student. Now, let us begin. After all, the sooner we switch places, the sooner your brother dies. His eyes flickering with insanity, Sasuke listened closely to Orochimaru's instructions. My brother gave you his body, so you could kill me. Itachi appeared on the verge of breaking down. It was all he wanted. These past 8 years, Orochimaru's smirk looked out of place on Sasuke's face. The snake looked pleased at Itachi's reaction. Then why keep Sasuke's appearance? Jiraiya demanded. You've always replaced your host's appearance with your own in the past. Was it simply to put Itachi off his game? Oh no, Orochimaru shook Sasuke's head. Itachi's distraction was only a bonus. No, I kept Sasuke's appearance for a reason I'm sure you can understand, old friend. You see, while I was trapped within Sasuke's body, I was able to share in the experience when he bedded Karen. The observation has sparked a new interest in me. And it is my understanding this form will be well suited for that research. Ha! Orochimaru laughed suddenly, confusing his opponents. That shut him up, at least for a moment, the serpent Sannin said, mainly to himself. I don't think he likes that idea. That shut him up. Jiraiya shared a glance of confusion with Itachi. Yes, the villain nodded. Ever since I broke in on your little conference, Sasuke has been screaming his head off in here. He tapped his sternum. Frankly, it is getting annoying. He shook his head in exasperation. Here, you can listen to him for a while. He signaled snake, monkey, rat, and then tapped his stolen chest again. SWER me. The voice of Sasuke Uchiha roared from over Orochimaru's left shoulder. Hearing his own voice through his former ears, he went silent, but only for an instant. What is going on here? The trapped soul demanded. Why is Itachi with old man Jiraiya? Poor Sasuke, Orochimaru simpered, pityingly, you still have not figured it out. Are you so blinded by your hatred? What do you mean? Sasuke demanded. Neither Itachi nor Jiraiya answered, and Orochimaru chuckled at the discomfort. Itachi is a double agent, Orochimaru explained, mockingly. All these years, he has been reporting the movements of the Akatsuki to the Konohagakure. What? The teen repeated, his voice shaking with rage. Why? Why would they work with this traitor? Oh my, you are almost as dense as your former comrade, he laughed at his host. Then his voice and face grew deadly serious. Itachi was not the one who killed the Uchiha clan. I did kill my clan, Itachi asserted. He did kill them, Sasuke shouted at the same time. I saw him. My father's blood was dripping from that sword. In the soul cage he pointed, not caring that no one could see him. Jiraiya coughed to gain their attention. While it may be technically true that Itachi ended the lives of the Uchihas, the Toad Sage capitulated, nodding at the older brother. The fact of the matter is, those were mercy killings. The rest of the Uchiha clan was beyond saving, and all Itachi did was spare them days of drawn-out pain. It is still my fault, the elder brother insisted. I failed the task I was given, and my clan, my family suffered for it. And that is why I am glad I did not take your body, Itachi, Orochimaru mocked. Your streak of martyrdom runs too deep. I fear it might have tainted me. After all, you could just as easily say you bought your clan more than a decade of life. And your brother his very existence. What does that mean? Confusion tainted Sasuke's anger. What is he talking about, Itachi? Answer me. It started when I was 3, the elder son of Mikoto and Fugaku explained. I had been told not to leave the village, but the woods beyond the wall had this mystical pull. And like most children that age, I thought I was invincible. With the evil rogue ninjas vanquished, the young boy dropped the stick that had served as his mighty sword, and plopped down against a tree. He unwrapped the rice balls he had snuck out for a snack, and bit into one. A chipmunk eyed him carefully, torn between hunger and curiosity, and fear of the much larger predator. Itachi smiled at the rodent's antics. He took off a small corner of the mochi, and tossed it gently towards his admirer. The chipmunk quickly grabbed the morsel, and stuffed it into its mouth, its cheeks puffing out. The son of the Uchiha clan giggled at the sight. Then the forest seemed to grow cold, despite the warm July weather. The chipmunk scrambled away, spooked. Overhead, the twittering birds fell silent. Itachi pulled himself up, his hunger and entertainment forgotten. He pressed his back against the tree, nervous. His eyes darted from tree to tree, searching for what was causing the unnatural calm. He spotted something. A figure, crouching on a branch a few dozen feet away. At first Itachi thought it was human, until he saw the eyes. There was no white to them, instead they were just soulless black pits, accentuated only by glowing red spirals, 3 crimson lines circling from the outside to the center. The Uchiha youth tried to push closer to the trunk behind him, frightened by unnatural being. Is this coincidence or providence? The figure hopped down lightly, and walked boldly towards the boy. My clan's time is chosen, and one of them comes to offer himself to me. The boy wanted to run, but those pitiless, impossible orbs held him fast. You would be Itachi, the son of Fugaku, the monster told him. How fitting that the first to fall is the last heir of the superior line. Goodbye, child. The figure's hands began to move, and Itachi recognized the chakra seals he had only begun to master. He began to shake with terror, realizing the shadow intended to kill him. I don't want to die. I don't want to die, the child chanted in his head, don't want to die. I don't want to die. He suddenly shouted out loud. His eyes hurt, and he did not know why. Itachi seemed to lose control of his hands, and they began to mimic the monster's motions. As suddenly as he had begun, the figure stopped forming the jutsu. Now that is interesting, the shadows around the demon faded, leaving a human ninja. The murder's eyes also changed, becoming a brown so deep it was almost black, but with a normal white sclera and black iris. The man knelt to look at him more closely. Itachi thought that the man looked like his father, close enough to be a brother or cousin. You have activated it at this tender age. The shinobi lifted his chin, staring into his eyes, Tsutomu in the left, and all 3 in the right. Not even my offspring were able to do that. Maybe I have been premature. Itachi did not say anything, he just watched the man carefully, despite the burning sensation in his eyes. I think I will give them one final chance, if only to see where this potential goes, the ninja pondered, as if the boy wasn't even there. Then the man stood, and addressed Itachi directly. No, child, that the Uchiha clan has forgotten its purpose. They have grown complacent in their self-satisfaction. I had decided to finish them, but I see a glimmer of hope in you. So I will leave you be, for now. But you would do well to find a way to return the clan to its true goal. Or our next meeting will not be so pleasant. I told our parents, Itachi added after a moment, but they thought it was a child's game, and scolded me for going into the forest alone. Then the war began, and I witnessed horrors far greater than a stranger threatening me. In time, I began to believe they were correct, that it was all my youthful imagination. But Madara did not forget about you. Orochimaru scoffed at his ignorance. No, Itachi said quietly, shaking his head, he did not. The leader of the Anbu completed his last set of kunai exercises, and looked up at the moon to check the time. He was scheduled to meet Shisui at 10, and decided he should at least take a quick shower before they went to the club. He wouldn't be much of a wingman otherwise. I am disappointed, a voice said above the teen. Itachi started, he was not easy to get the drop on, but whoever had spoken had gone completely unnoticed. But even more than simply being ambushed, the voice touched off an old fear in the pit of the Jonin's stomach. It has been not quite 11 years, and you have barely advanced your Sharingan at all. Madara Uchiha appeared in front of his descendant, nor have you been able to improve the clan's disposition. He turned away, ignoring the younger warrior. I suppose I was expecting too much of a child, and a follower of the leaf. But I still have an interest in you. Itachi Uchiha, the co-founder of the Konohagakure, looked back at the loyal shinobi, so I will give you a little more time, and a push in the right direction. I think you should reflect on the flow of your life, so you can cross the bridge to true power. He vanished, but Itachi was already running towards the village. Reflect, flow, bridge. The Uchiha heir tried to contain his panic. He must be talking about the stream, where I'm supposed to meet Shisui. He raced past the guards at the gate without pausing. He did not slow until he reached the small stone bridge. He skidded to a halt on the structure, panting lightly. His eyes scanned the dim surroundings. For a second he felt relief, not seeing anything out of place. But just as he was about to relax, he noticed the disruption in the surface of the water. He hopped from the bridge, running on the surface of the water until he met the obstruction. Shisui? He asked, kneeling on the surface of the water. His Sharingan pierced the surface of the liquid, making out the unmoving features of his cousin and only friend. No, Itachi said quietly, the burning sensation in his eyes growing, changing into a sharp prickling. No, 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 no. He chanted, as unseen, the shape of his eyes changed. Engulfed in rage, Itachi ran back to where he had been training. But he could find no trace of his ancestor. Then you didn't kill our cousin? Sasuke asked quietly. No. Madara did, both as a warning, and to trigger my Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi dug his fingernails into his palm. After that I broke into the clan meeting hall, and found the hidden archives. I read Madara's journals, to learn about this mission he wanted our clan to fulfill. That was when you changed, the trapped younger sibling remembered, you began to challenge father and the rest of the clan. You said they were too impressed with their abilities. I had no desire to support Madara's mad dream, Itachi told him, but I hoped if I could change their attitudes, even a little, or cause anyone else to unlock the second level, it might stall Madara. Is that why you killed our family? Sasuke ramped up again, so that Madara couldn't. Is that what the old pervert meant by mercy killings? No, I was too late that night, Itachi whispered. Madara had already made his move. Enough with the cryptic crap, the rogue genin shouted impatiently, just tell me. There is a third level to the Sharingan, Jiraiya explained, a legendary level, only ever achieved by Madara Uchiha. Itachi described it from his first encounter. It is called the Shanin Sharingan. The solid black eyes with red spirals, Orochimaru interjected before Sasuke could ask. The Shanin Sharingan has only one recorded technique, an upgraded version of the Tsukiyomi known as Susanoo-o, the Toad Sage continued. Unlike the Tsukiyomi, the Susanoo-o does not require the constant participation of the user. Once the victim is trapped in the genjutsu, Madara can just leave them, and continue on to other targets. Even worse, the Susanoo-o never runs out. Anyone trapped in the technique will remain there, sealed in an abyss of torment until their real body dies. It was nicknamed 1000 Years of Pain, because it takes most victims almost 5 days to die. But inside the illusionary world, that equates to almost a millennium. Madara used Susanoo-o on every other member of our clan, Itachi said softly. I tried to use my Tsukiyomi to break our father's sister free, but I was nearly trapped in her illusion for the effort. You didn't really have a chance, Jiraiya tried to comfort him. Only 2 people ever survived being hit by that technique, and both of them technically broke free before the genjutsu fully took hold. Even the Suijin Byakugan could not remove the Susanoo-o once it was connected. So you killed our parents, and all the others, to spare them pain? Sasuke asked, and Itachi nodded. Why? What mission did our clan fail to perform? Why would Madara destroy the clan he created? The reason Madara created the Uchiha clan, the reason he agreed to join with Hashirama Senju in forming the Konohagakure, all of it was so he could take his revenge on the Hyuga clan, Itachi explained. The Hyugas. Why? Sasuke interrupted again. If you'd stop butting in, we could explain this a lot faster, the Toad Sage sprouted in annoyance. Look, we can't know anything for sure. Many historical records were lost during the Second Great Ninja War. The only first-hand source we have are Madara's rants, and we only have those because Itachi brought them to us. And we have to take them with a grain of salt, for obvious reasons. Madara was born into the Hyuga clan, Itachi expositioned. His father, Isamu, was a great ninja, and was chosen to marry the Hyuga heiress. It was hoped they would produce a powerful heir. But when Madara was born without the Byakugan, he and his father were cast out, and the union annulled. This devastated Isamu, who had fallen in love with his bride. Madara grew up with a broken father, resenting his mother and her family. Despite that, he grew remarkably skilled. By age 12, he was already a chunin. Jiraiya picked up the tale, but at that point he vanished. There is no record of him anywhere, and his journals jump ahead to age 18. Given the handful of missing pages in the earlier books, we suspect he censored his own past. At any rate, at age 18, Madara reappeared, now using the surname Uchiha. He now possessed his own Kekkei Genkai, and forcibly took the rank of Jonin. He married soon after, and produced 5 offspring. As his children became active shinobi, they started to be known as the Uchiha clan, and quickly were regarded as one of the premier ninja clans, rivaling even the Senju. And when the Sanctuary of the Flames was destroyed, Orochimaru purred in admiration, and Hashirama Senju approached Madara with his innovative plan to unite the separate clans into a city, to create an army of ninja, well, Madara saw his chance. He insisted the Hyuga clan be invited to join the new village, seeing the perfect option to get close to his enemy, to observe them. He knew the Uchihas weren't strong enough, yet, Jiraiya shot Sasuke's possessed body a dirty look. His first grandkids had just been born, and the Hyugas still outnumbered the Uchihas by almost 5 to 1. So at first, he contented himself to simply outshine those who tossed him out like trash. The Uchihas took the worst missions, and always tried to outperform the Hyugas in contests, especially the newly created Chunin exams. But in time, even that was not enough, Itachi said, disappointed. Even though the Uchiha's accomplishments were greater, every Hyuga victory burned like a brand against his soul. And when Hashirama Senju was chosen as the Hokage, it was the last straw. Madara decided that even if he could not watch the entire Hyuga clan fall, he could at least take some personal revenge. He decided to kill the leader of the Hyuga clan, Hoshi Hyuga, his own, younger half-sister. The elder brother took a breath before continuing. That night, he snuck into the Hyuga manor. He killed 3 random Hyuga shinobi he encountered, before finally making his way to his sister's bedroom. But he wasn't content to simply stab her in her sleep. Instead, he woke her, intending to use the Susanoo on her, to kill her in agony. Unfortunately, Madara miscalculated, the serpent noted. His sister had the power of the Suijin Byakugan, and she deflected Susanoo back on him. The reversal hurt Madara badly. Itachi recalled the journal entry, smuggled into the Uchiha clan hall years after Madara's escape. Hoshi Hyuga escaped, and raised the alarm. Injured, and his treachery revealed, Madara ran. But Hashirama caught up with him, at the place now known as the Valley of the End. After the battle, Madara lost, and was presumed dead. He escaped, content to let his clan finish the job. Of course, the Hokage had other ideas. Jiraiya smirked. He carefully approached the Uchihas, determining that only Madara's second son bore the same level of hatred. So he began to secretly indoctrinate them, channeling Madara's teachings of destruction into a friendly rivalry. Do you understand now, Sasuke? Orochimaru sounded bored. The Uchiha clan was influenced by the first, and they gave up Madara's goal of destroying the Hyugas. Of course, Madara could not let that go unpunished, so he destroyed the clan. Itachi, why did you lie to me? Sasuke raised his voice again. Why didn't you tell me the truth? Madara left you alive for the same reason he spared me. He wanted us to grow stronger, strong enough to serve him. I knew that hatred would spur your advancement. But I could not let you target Madara. An ancestor you did not know would not have been an adequate focus for your rage. But had you faced him, he would have destroyed you without mercy. So now you have the whole story, Sasuke, Orochimaru chided. Will you be silent long enough for me to conclude this transaction? Your yowling is too distracting. What? The younger brother protested. No, I don't want this. Not anymore. That is unfortunate. Orochimaru shook his head, as if dismayed. We have a bargain. Your body, in exchange for Itachi's life. We swore blood oaths. No, stop. Orochimaru ignored the teen, assuming a fighting stance. Jiraiya and Itachi both tensed, as the body thief sprang forward. With Sasuke still screaming for his former mentor to stop, Orochimaru charged forward. His stolen Sharingan was active, and he was signing his first jutsu. Ninja art, claws to fangs jutsu, the serpent user quickly invoked, just before he reached Itachi. The Sanin's fingernails grew long and narrow, like a snake's fangs. During the quick exchange of taijutsu, Orochimaru was able to stab into Itachi's right thigh and scrape the back of the true Uchiha's left hand. Then Jiraiya closed the gap, and Orochimaru was forced to shift his focus. But the false traitor could not take advantage of the distraction, as he grew weak and lightheaded. Go ahead, take your antivenom pill, the body thief prompted. My technique replicates the venom of 4 different snakes. They are not the most deadly, but they are exceedingly rare. So I am looking forward to finding out how well they stand up to the Akatsuki's medicine. You planned this, didn't you? Jiraiya accused angrily, aiming his left fist at Sasuke's neck. You could have attacked Itachi at any time, but you waited until he was meeting with me. You wanted Sasuke to learn the truth, to break his spirit. I did owe him for trapping me those few months. Orochimaru shrugged, unconcerned, and this trip down memory lane also distracted Itachi. So really, it served a double purpose. Getting to dismantle you with my new body is just a side benefit. Orochimaru's feet shifted oddly as he avoided the old pervert's kick at his waist. Jiraiya launched another kick at Orochimaru's head, putting his right hand behind his body, presumably to balance the high kick, but in reality to conceal the build-up of chakra over his palm. The teenage body shuffled around, and grabbed the white-haired Sannin's left wrist, preventing Jiraiya from using the Rasengan. A lethal attack. The snake summoner feigned hurt. You would use a lethal attack against poor Sasuke. He twisted Jiraiya's hand back with chakra increased strength, forcing the spiraling sphere perilously close to the elder warrior's spine. The Toad Sage was forced to cancel the jutsu to avoid crippling himself. I'd rather not kill Sasuke, the sage conceded, but if you manage to kill Itachi, Sasuke becomes a lost cause. If forced to make the choice, I'll keep the loyal brother alive. Jiraiya crouched, and then jumped high, pulling free from Orochimaru's grasp. Itachi finally managed to extract the curative tablet from his belt pouch, despite the numbness in his fingers. He swallowed the drug, and backed up to a tree, hoping the antidote could cleanse his system. After the Toad Sage hopped out of his grasp, the snake user used the same momentum to divert his attention back to his older brother. But the fourth Hokage's teacher twisted in mid-air, already signing. Earth-style, swallowing land jutsu, he proclaimed. The ground around Orochimaru split like a giant set of jaws, and closed around him, sucking him into the dirt. The ground began to shake, and Sasuke's left hand exploded forth, wrapped in lightning. The rest of the hijacked body followed. You know the Chidori, Jiraiya exclaimed in amazement. Of course, the serpent hissed, pityingly, I know all of little Sasuke's techniques. Kakashi's technique still active, Orochimaru continued his charge to the slowly recovering Itachi. The antivenom was taking hold, but neither fast enough nor thoroughly enough for the double agent's taste. Summoning art, Toad Flare Wall. Two toads appeared in mid-air, one on either side of Jiraiya. They quickly set down twin lines of oil between Orochimaru and his target. Then their human partner sent out a spark, causing the liquid to erupt into a giant barrier of flames. The amphibians vanished as Orochimaru skidded to a halt, just short of the towering fire. He glanced up at Jiraiya, and smirked before striding into the flames. The self-proclaimed super pervert landed on the far side of the inferno, watching anxiously. A black spot appeared in the blaze, expanding slowly. Then the bubble of black fire burst, revealing the form of Sasuke Uchiha, his Mangekyo Sharingan active. You should know better than to use fire against an Uchiha, Orochimaru chided, a trickle of blood running from the corner of his left eye. Jiraiya snapped his fingers, and wall of fire vanished. I just needed to slow you down, the loyal Sannin countered. He stepped between the snake and the weasel, carefully avoiding looking into those deadly crimson eyes. He knew not being able to look at his opponent's face would be dangerous, but decided getting caught in the Tsukiyomi would be worse than having a fraction of a second less to dodge Amaterasu. Determined not to let the traitor have the next move, Minato's teacher launched a side kick at Orochimaru's abdomen, even as he began to sign his next jutsu. The body snatcher seized his foot, and twisted the ankle, causing Jiraiya to spiral away from him. The elder shinobi was forced to stop his hand seals in order to catch himself before his face plowed into the dirt. His concentration lost, the Toad Sage contemplated his next move. I remember you being faster, even when we fought 4 years ago, Sasuke's head as his parasite pondered that condescendingly, age must be catching up with you. He shifted his gaze back to his real target. Well, Itachi, are you ready to rejoin this fight? Or do you intend to flee? He's right, Jiraiya agreed, you need to get out of here. I'll hold him off. No, the elder brother said, I will leave neither you nor Sasuke in Orochimaru's clutches. I will not play the traitor this time. Then he smiled ruefully, besides, with the remnants of this poison in my system, I am not sure I could escape. You have no choice, in little Sasuke's case, Orochimaru simpered, he has signed over possession of his body to me. And there is no way you can evade me for 3 more months, not without killing me, and thus Sasuke too. Itachi leapt over his contact's head, and Jiraiya could tell he was not exaggerating about the impact of the venoms. Uchiha's normally exacting movements appeared slow, and awkward. He launched a 3-finger jab at Sasuke's heart, and when the body of his brother stepped back, Itachi flipped up the kunai pinched between his thumb and pinky, scoring a light cut. He caught the blade's handle, and swung it at Orochimaru's neck. The serpent blocked him, wrist to wrist, but Itachi finished building up chakra for his real attack. Kaiten, fire clone jutsu, Itachi split in 4, attacking with different kicks from all quadrants. Water style, downpour jutsu, the rogue Sannin completed the A-rank technique with only 5 seals, and water drawn from the air and trees began to pelt them. Though the humans were only chilled and soaked, the rain caused the fire clones to flicker and die. Raiten, least resistance strike, Jiraiya countered the counter, sending forth a lightning bolt that tracked the water technique back to its source. Orochimaru's commandeered body went rigid as the voltage coursed through it. Itachi took the opening, sweeping Sasuke's legs, and preparing to drive his heel into the traitor's stomach. But as his foot connected, Orochimaru exploded into a nest of vipers. The elder brother hopped back, but not before one of the serpents tagged him. Jiraiya looked around for their opponent, as Itachi went for his last antidote. "You want to play with lightning, old friend?" Orochimaru mocked, stepping out from the trunk of the largest oak. "That really won't serve you any better than fire did." His left hand dropped, and lightning chakra began to crackle around it again. He charged his former teammate with amazing speed. But the pervert was ready for the jab. He carefully observed Orochimaru's run, and when the body thief started to lift his hand, Jiraiya jumped straight back, raising his right hand over his head and forming another, larger Rasengan. "Sorry, kid," Jiraiya thought, "but if I take your hand, we can stop Orochimaru long enough for you to ride this out." The teacher of the 4th Hokage started to drop his arm, planning to push the spiraling sphere into Sasuke's wrist. But before he could connect, Orochimaru suddenly flicked out his fingers. The lightning chakra split into a dozen snake-shaped streams, and each shot like a bullet towards Jiraiya's outstretched limb. They tore through skin, muscle, and bone, leaving the Toad Sage's wrist and hand a whole riddled mess. "I improved on Kakashi's basic form," Orochimaru boasted, and his former teammate cradled his ruined forearm, trying to staunch the blood loss. "I considered calling it Chihebi, but it doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Chidori." Sasuke's possessed form stalked closer. "Or how about lightning snakes?" Orochimaru fired a punch at Jiraiya's face, and the gray-haired Sannin blocked with his left hand. But this was in the other Sannin's plan, and the serpent user kicked the Toad Summoner's damaged right elbow. Minato and Naruto's teacher collapsed to his knees from the pain. But as his eyes started to close, Orochimaru tapped his chest with an electricity-wrapped finger. Now, the serpent Sannin admonished as Jiraiya's eyes flew open, "I can't have you passing out now. But I suppose I also can't have you trying anything, either." He jabbed 2 needles into Jiraiya's neck, immobilizing his former ally. The serpent user pushed the pervert back, leaving him leaning against a slender spruce. Then he turned back, looking curious and smug. "Have you recovered yet, Itachi?" he asked politely. "I wouldn't want this to be too easy. After all, I need to get a feeling of how strong this body is." Itachi did not respond verbally, instead choosing to draw the second Hokage's katana. The mouth of Sasuke Uchiha twisted into a smirk. "Kenjutsu, is it?" he chuckled. A snake appeared from Orochimaru's mouth, and expelled Kusanagi into his waiting hand. "You won't find me as simple to defeat as your brother." He flicked the legendary Jian, increasing its length by half and slicing through the tree Jiraiya was propped against, just above the frozen sage's head. Orochimaru took another step forward, destroying one of the ancient oaks with a delicate twist of his wrist. "Unlike foolish little Sasuke, I can use Kusanagi to counter the shredding sound jutsu inscribed into that blade." Itachi did not answer. Instead, he somersaulted forward, keeping the Anbu blade tight to his body. He landed in a crouch before Orochimaru, and swung the katana horizontally at the body thief's waist. The straight blade caught the curved sword, and the blade extended further, carrying the vibration out to the tip. Kusanagi's point shot towards the true Uchiha's right eye, and he was forced to roll to his side to avoid the attack. But his dodge was off balance, and Orochimaru swept his Jian sideways, cutting deep into Itachi's chest. Blood sprayed out, and Sasuke's brother collapsed. Orochimaru looked at the blood-coated edge of the grass-cutting sword with annoyance. "You didn't think this simple genjutsu would fool me, did you?" His voice bordered on anger for the first time. Orochimaru did not like being taken lightly, especially by those who should know better. "Even without the Sharingan, I can see through this." He reactivated his stolen Kekkei Genkai, and began looking for the double agent. He saw Itachi, perched on a nearby limb. The Akatsuki Uchiha let out a sign of relief, smoothly standing up straight. As he did, the illusion of his body faded. You didn't want to fool me. A touch of admiration replaced the anger. You were buying time to use Sasori, to displace the effects of my snake's toxins. An interesting strategy, but it buys you what, 5 minutes? Maybe 10. Do you honestly expect to defeat me so quickly? Itachi started the clock in his head. In 7 minutes, 23 seconds, the poisons and the punctures that introduced them would return. He had to conserve his chakra, so he could not send the injuries out the full 12 minutes and 16 seconds. Orochimaru did not give up a second, despite his near boasting. He threw the Kusanagi at the Akatsuki agent, sidearm so the weapon spun with the blade on the outside edge, rather than point first. Itachi knocked the grass cut away with the second katana, but the straight sword righted itself, and flew towards him again. Itachi parried again, and the floating sword began to fence with him. Below the fight, Orochimaru directed the flying weapon with simple gestures of his right hand. With no body to protect, Kusanagi was able to attack with reckless abandon, keeping the Uchiha shinobi on the defensive. At the same time, Orochimaru began to incorporate hand signs into his direction of the blade. Fire style, Dragon's Raw Jutsu, he proclaimed after completing the seals. A cone of red-purple flames shot from Sasuke's jaw. And still engaged by the floating blade, the elder brother could not forge a counter-jutsu. His only choice was to fall backwards off the tree limb, letting gravity pull him out of the path of the fire. But Kusanagi followed, and Orochimaru tilted his head to make the jutsu pursue as well. Just before the villainous scientist's breath ran out, the blade struck Itachi's left foot, burning away his boot and causing deep black burns to erupt across his skin. The Jian sliced at him again, and he turned his own sword to stop it. But before the weapons could connect, the grass cutter's blade shrunk to the size of a dagger, passing under the katana. Expecting to meet Orochimaru's remote attack with force, the sudden change left Itachi off balance as he fell. Kusanagi then returned to its true length, cutting into the undercover leaf ninja's stomach. Sharper than a razor, the legendary sword passed through Itachi's intestine in a clean, almost gentle motion. Holding his guts in with his left arm, Itachi managed to land on his feet. But he was forced to put most of his weight onto his undamaged right foot, and the ninja felt the muscles in his ankle strain. He knocked Kusanagi back again, this time making sure to focus on the hilt. Then he swung his katana back, brandishing it between himself and the approaching figure of Sasuke, while keeping an eye on the floating sword. But the hovering blade stopped attacking, as if waiting for its master. "You see, Sasuke?" Orochimaru asked, despite the voice projection jutsu having faded minutes before, winning a fight without lethal intent is exponentially harder. Of course, you are stronger and faster than Itachi, and I am far more skilled, so this was never a contest to begin with. Itachi grimaced at the repeated traitor, until he completed the hand signs, hidden by his crouched position. He began to sink into the ground, but Orochimaru crooked his fingers, and Kusanagi shoot through Itachi's right shoulder. When the sword hit the earth, the elder Uchiha's escape was arrested, leaving only his head and shoulders visible, and vulnerable. Smirking at the shinobi's predicament, Orochimaru grasped Kusanagi's hilt, and lifted Itachi from the ground by the blade. The Uchiha heir was unable to restrain a howl of pain, as the flat of the blade rubbed against his collarbone. His concentration broken, Itachi dropped his katana. "Now you have a choice to make, Itachi," Orochimaru informed him, holding him above the ground, still impaled upon the sword. "You have a piece of information I want. And if I give it to you, you let me live, right?" Itachi said, still maintaining his calm. "Oh no," Orochimaru shook his head, "you will die today. But if you tell me, I will give you a quick and honorable death. Deny me, and you will die slowly. And what could I possibly have to tell the all-knowing serpent Sannin?" The location of Madara Uchiha. Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto Flash stepped into the clearing, as Itachi's body crumpled to the dirt. The left side of the medical ninja's face was horribly scarred, but he once again had 2 arms, which appeared to be symmetrical. He looked down at the last of the Uchiha clan, as the black flames around the hole that had once been Itachi's heart slowly flickered and died. "It is done," the Sannin sounded oddly giddy, "this body is now mine, and I know where to find our true target." "What about Jiraiya?" Yakushi asked, Regarding the immobilized sage carefully, he is still alive. Of course, Orochimaru agreed, I never intended to kill him. He slithered over to his old friend, and removed the chakra-laced needles from the pressure points in his neck. The other Sannin collapsed fully as his body relaxed, but he stared hatefully at the villain and his lieutenant. But why? Kabuto seemed personally offended by the suggestion. Jiraiya must return to the Hidden Leaf village, the body thief explained to both of them, to tell them of the Akatsuki's plans. The Hidden Leaf must continue to oppose your former masters, so that Pain and Madara's plans do not reach fruition. Besides, I want dear Tsunade and all of little Sasuke's old friends to know of my restoration, and how it came about. Kabuto nodded with an appreciative smirk. But I can't have you following me, or trying anything foolhardy, so, Orochimaru stepped on Jiraiya's wounded right arm, and then kicked him hard in the neck. Between the two attacks, the Toad Sage lost consciousness. Let's go, Orochimaru ordered, and both renegade shinobi vanished. Jiraiya awoke, feeling curiously comfortable and free of pain. He could not tell the passage of time, but it was obviously after dark. As he glanced around, the first thing he noticed was that he was no longer in the forest. The hospital room clarified in his eyes, and the Sannin had another realization, that he could not move his left hand or arm. His eyes turned downward, and recognized Tsunade. His former teammate tightly held his left hand in both of hers, and was asleep, her head resting on his wrist. Not wanting to disturb her, he lifted his right hand, marveling slightly that the limb appeared whole, and did not hurt at all. But as he flexed his fingers, the action was difficult, and slightly uncomfortable. You will need some physical therapy, the Hokage said gently, lifting her head, and even then, you might never be as strong or as quick as you used to be. But you're lucky. There's someone out there who cares for you more than he should. Just one someone? He asked, fixing a canny eye on her. Unlike normal, she did not hit him, but instead smiled sadly. Naruto donated a pint of his blood, and I was able to partially replicate what he and Sakura did for Hinata, her eyes growing moist. I thought I was going to lose you. You're the only one I have left. Death is part of being a ninja, and I've lived longer than most. Besides, you still have the knucklehead, not to mention the rest of the village. I love Naruto like a nephew, she started. Or a grandson, he interrupted. But you are the only one I can rely on as an equal, she finished, ignoring him. Sarutobi-sensei, Nawaki, Dan, Yukihana, they're all gone. Her tears continued to fall, and he squeezed her hand. But at the same time, his expression darkened. How long has it been? He asked, after she had recovered. What happened? You probably know more about what happened, she said thoughtfully, but as for how long, it has been 5 days since the meeting was scheduled to occur. When you didn't return after 2 days, I sent out the Anbu to find whatever bar you had discovered, and bring you back. They discovered you in the clearing, nearly dead, and carried you back here. They said it looked like there had been a major battle in the forest. He nodded, even though that should have been obvious. Did the Akatsuki discover you? She prompted. Not the Akatsuki. It was Orochimaru. Suddenly all fear and sadness left the Hokage's beautiful face, replaced by confusion and anger. So Itachi is dead. Tsunade was shocked. Yeah, Jiraiya said slowly, confused by her confusion. Wasn't he there? No, she shook her head, it was just you. But his sword was there. We hoped he had been forced to pretend to kill you. No, Orochimaru killed Itachi. He made sure I saw it. He paused to exhale, but what happened to Itachi's body? Considering who killed him, I'd rather not think about that, the medical expert shuddered. So what do we do now? He asked. We already have plans in place to insert a new agent into the Akatsuki, the Hokage answered, but I will need time to think about how to deal with the Sasuke, Orochimaru issue. And I have to call a meeting to discuss what to do with the Uchiha estate. First, we need to tell them what happened. She nodded. Early the next morning, Tsunade escorted Kakashi, Naruto, and Sakura into Jiraiya's room. Hey, pervy sage, you're looking better, Naruto greeted his mentor with a grin. But his happy look faded when he saw the dark and sad look on Jiraiya's face. I have something to tell the three of you, the Toad Sage said grimly. The door to Jiraiya's room burst open and Naruto staggered out numbly. The young man's visage was hollow, and defeated. Sakura followed quickly thereafter, her face still soaked. Finally Kakashi followed stoically, wearing an expression of dour acceptance. Naruto. A gentle voice called to him. Uzumaki looked up, into the concerned face of Hinata Hyuga. Seeing his girlfriend, the tears he had been holding back sprang forth. He crossed the hall in 2 steps, wrapping Hinata in his arms tightly, as if afraid to let her go. He sobbed on her shoulder, and she returned his tight embrace, worried for him. Naruto, what is it? She asked gently. Please, come home with me, he whispered, I'll tell you everything there. She nodded, and they began to walk slowly away. Naruto continued to grasp her hand firmly, not wanting to relinquish human contact. Sakura dropped her hand, which she had been extending to Naruto. She too was crying again, but for a different reason. She felt alone. She understood how Naruto was feeling, didn't she? Certainly, she understood better than Hinata did. They both shared the bond with Sasuke, and both had pledged to bring him back to the village. So why didn't he turn to her? Why didn't he embrace her? Come on, Sakura, Kakashi touched his student's shoulder in comfort, I'll take you home. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei, she whimpered. After dropping off Sakura, Kakashi had called Ino to come keep his charge company. He then strode rapidly away, but not in the direction of his own apartment. He pace-carried him to a small condo on the opposite side of town. Despite his prior urgency, Hitaki paused before knocking on the door. Kakashi, senpai. Yugao Azuki added the honorific after a second of shock. May I come in? He said quietly. She nodded, concerned, and stepped aside. Once he was securely in her home, the Jonin kunoichi closed and locked the door. Kakashi, what's wrong? She asked informally. The copy ninja did not answer with words. Instead, he pulled his mask down and kissed his lover furiously. Though she returned his ministrations in kind, the young woman felt apprehensive. Her expectations were met, when she tasted salt on his lips. She pulled back, looking into his wet eyes. I failed again, he told her. Her expression changed to one of sad affection, and she held him close again. Father, it is Hinata, the girl whispered into her cellular phone. After hearing the story from her beloved, she spent most of the day sitting with him, holding him and listening to him recount stories about Sasuke. After dinner Naruto was drained, but more stable. He went to take a quick shower and change clothes, so Hinata took the opportunity to call home. I am at Naruto's house. I am going to stay the night here. She intentionally did not phrase it as a question, and quickly continued before he could say anything. I promise we won't do anything you would disapprove of, she reassured him, but something has happened, and Naruto needs me. I am worried about him. This is about the Uchiha boy, isn't it? Hiyashi's proud, stern voice emerged, tainted by something else. Yes, she answered, but how do you know? The Hokage called together the clan leaders, to tell us what had transpired, he answered, this event and the secrets surrounding it could have serious ramifications for the village. Hinata did not say anything, but considered her father's words. Take care of Naruto, Hiyashi continued kindly, and then offered, do you need me to send anything over? No, Hinata answered after a short consideration, I think it is better if no one comes here tonight. Very well. Good night, Hinata. Good night, father. As he hung up, Hiyashi was surprised to realize he was proud of his caring, supportive daughter. There are many kinds of strength, he misquoted with a small smile. Was that Hinata? Hanabi stepped into the hall. Yes, she will not be home tonight. Uzumaki received some terrible news, and she is staying with him. Hanabi sniffed imperiously, and flounced back into her room. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.